cooperatives, we have vendors, we have MSPs, we have individuals who have come from everywhere to listen to what the mechanization service providers will talk about and also what the vendors will talk about. In Propcom mai-karfi, we have made it our mandate, one of our several mandates, to increase the number of tractors that we have available for rural poor farmers across the country. There will be two very quick presentations this morning that will show us, the progress and the distance that we have to go. For us, we are not resting, we are not sleeping until we know that the density of tractors in this country at least increases a bit, if not, marginally. Increases, some distance. 7 tractors per how many square meters, or 5,000 tractors for a population of 70 million farmers is a far cry. Somebody will say, or somebody asks, don't we have vendors? We have vendors. It's not about vendors. There are 7 vendors here. Some of the best tractors in the world are in this space. Okay? Somebody will ask, or somebody asked, are there mechanization service providers? There are about 8 mechanization service providers in this room. So for the pressmen and presswomen who are here, we need to raise the tempo and we need to raise the conversation. Propcom is here, we are in Abuja, we are willing to talk about this with you. For those of us that were with us last week, Tuesday, we had a policy meeting in this room. We want you to stand up from this place after this meeting and let us increase that. Okay, let the farmers have tractors to work with. Let's invest in the space. We'll get in our hands a pack that contains this document. The pack is outside. I think after the event, it will be shared with us. Let me just run through this for the next 5 minutes as we go on. It says Nigeria has a population of 190 million persons. 70% of them are involved in agriculture, right? Hello?
Yes.
Okay. We have here that we have 7 tractors available for every 10,000 hectares. 10,000 hectares is a lot, but you just have only 7 tractors. And we're talking about it outside. They have that some tractors are used round the clock. Once you give some farmers a tractor, they can use it for like a month non-stop. They even use generator. They use the tractor because there are no tractors, right? And only about 48% of our land is under cultivation. United Nations, we said this, and I will not stop saying it. The United Nations says we need about 1.5 million tractors. It's a distance. Kenya has a lot more tractors than Nigeria. South Africa has, don't let me go there. The problem or the challenge with Nigeria is beyond government. And for those of us that were at the policy event, I talked about this. We want to start looking away from the government. It doesn't have to be everything about government. Okay? Individuals have invested in tractors in those countries. Impact since 2014 in Propcom, we have, so this number has even changed. 531 tractors in our network amongst the MSPs we work with. We have reached 165,000 farmers with tractor services, and we have leveraged 9.8 million pounds. Number of farmers we have reached today, 12.7% of them are women. We have £57 savings per year for every farmer that used a tractor. £57 savings. And about £10 million cumulative income saved for farmers. It's cheaper to use a tractor to do a hectare of land than to use 40 persons to do a hectare of land. It's actually cheaper, right? Real farmers, you agree? It's cheaper. And we are getting to the point where the young people that even do our farms are now in the city. They run away to look for what? Greener pasture, isn't it? Okay, so for us, the vision in the mechanization space, in Propcom mechanization space, is to facilitate the development of a market system that will address the gap in availability and the use of tractors, resulting in cost saving and increased land productivity to smallholder farmers. the problem is on one of the pages, like I said, you get it. Affordability is a problem. Lack of finance is another problem. Policy has issues. Utilization is a big problem. So utilization will mean, for how many days in a year does your tractor work? How many days? Just the rainy season, isn't it? The rain-fed season. Max 3 months, right? Or 4. So what happens during the off-season? The 8 months, what do you do with the tractors? Do you think there's an issue there? You know your tractors can actually move around the country and come back to you. All right, capacity for the people manning or running mechanization services is also an issue. Until last week, I didn't know that we have limited number of operators. And it's not everybody that can drive a tractor. In fact, it's not everybody that should drive a tractor. That you can drive a car does not mean you can use a tractor. Then awareness and availability. I will not bore us because you're going to have this document. We have got our solution in this. We have been working around financing, around technology, and around the leasing model. The impact thus far, I already talked about it. And how technology has improved access for smallholder farmers. We have it in the document. In the next 2 years, this is what we are looking at. For Propcom mai-karfi, we are hoping that we would have reached 100,000 new farmers. We would have supported MSPs to increase their utilization to about 66%. What we have now is about 33 to 34% utilization rate. That means in a year, your tractor is just being used for like 34% of the time. But you know, interestingly, even within that 34% utilization, you can still break even. It's just that it's going to take you longer. Maybe like 3 years or 3.5 years. And if that tractor is properly managed. We are also hoping to increase the number of tractors in Propcom's network by 25%. But I think we are even exceeding it. Some of our partners are already speaking with some vendors. I've even have contracts with some vendors and tractors have been delivered to them. And I think that the problem we will even be having in the next 1 year will be how to aggregate demand and properly manage demand. Okay? Aggregate demand from Adamawa to Taraba, from Taraba to Benue, and then be able to properly schedule the demand such that the farmers are not waiting endlessly for tractor. They know that your tractor is coming on the 22nd of November or 22nd of April, and that tractor gets there because it has been mapped, all right? And then we also intend to increase the number of mechanization service providers we have in Nigeria. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome you to the first in the series of the Agricultural Mechanization Investment Roadshow. Thank you for coming. Right, I will call on one of our consultants, Imo, to give us a picture of what investment looks like presently in the mechanization space. Right, Imo? Welcome.
As Gottin said, my name is Imo, Igo Saige. I'm a business consultant and I've been working with Propcom on this for, I would say, about 2 years, because it all started with basically post-harvest mechanization services. And now we are talking about the entire value chain of mechanization services. So over the last 2 years, I've had some in-depth knowledge of the space. And I'm here to present essentially the opportunities that are involved with mechanization service provision in Nigeria. As Gottin said, the problem is quite large. So what I've tried to do with this presentation is to give some perspective as to the size and what can solve it, and also the benefits that can be reaped from it. So I will go through the flow. You will see a lot of numbers on the slides. Don't get confused by it, just listen to what I'm saying, and whatever you pick out from there, I would probably touch it cursorily, and then you can make some sense out of it. All right, so let's start with agriculture, which is the industry that we are talking about. So agriculture is the largest single contributor to the Nigerian GDP. It's that important. Crude oil is very important, but crude oil is a stimulator. Crude oil is the #1 stimulator. As far as the real sector goes, agriculture is the most important sector in Nigeria. Crude oil typically provides less than 10% to the GDP. Agriculture typically more than 20% on an annual basis. In agriculture, crop production is the overwhelming aspect of the industry. So crop production usually is about 90% of agriculture. So in other words, you can simply say crop production is the single largest contributor to the Nigerian GDP. To show how important agriculture is in Nigeria, we have one of the highest GDP per capita in terms of agriculture. When you compare the GDP per capita of agriculture in Nigeria, it's way higher than most economic regions of the world. We compare it with Africa, we compare it with the BRICS countries, that's Russia, Brazil, India, China. We compare it with major economic regions, and we see that in Nigeria, we actually do produce a lot compared to our population. And yet, we are a net importer of food. So the question is, if agriculture is so important to us, if we do it so well in terms of general production, why are we still a net importer of food? And the reason is actually quite simple. It's lost in the numbers, but it's something we all know. We're not very, very, very productive in terms of yield. We're not very productive in terms of the amount of land that we farm. We typically have one planting season, and that means that the arable land is not utilized as much as it can be. Also, though it's not in this slide, the arable land actually reduced because we have issues with basically deforestation. We have issues with the Sahara encroaching. So the problem only gets bigger if we don't utilize what we already have when we have it. A net import food bill of $3.2 billion annually, that's what we are left with. So every year, we need to find $3.2 billion that we have to finance from selling crude oil. So anytime the crude oil prices go down, everything suffers and we need more money for more food. So it's a vicious cycle. But apart from that, the lack of productivity results in post-harvest losses. So even the land that's farmed, we end up losing a lot of the produce because we have serious constraints. We have technical constraints, we have managerial constraints, we have resource constraints. To get finance, everybody here knows how difficult it is to get finance in Nigeria, to get the right inputs, to get advanced inputs, to get fertilizers, to get the input of mechanization, as a matter of fact. And that gives us a further $8.7 billion annually that is lost. So you can appreciate the immensity of the problem. As Godson said, we can't rely on the government. Compared to the average age here, I'm definitely a young man. But since I was born, I've been hearing government will do this, government will do this, government will do that. In fact, I met some farmers about 5 years ago, and for the last 30 years, they've been setting up business ventures based on what government said they will do. And by the time I got there, 30 years later, they started all this before I was born, and when I got there, the farm was still pretty much bush. So that gives you, an idea that you cannot rely on the government, not because they are not doing what they're supposed to do, but the problem is just beyond them. I'll run through some quick examples. The Nigerian Agricultural Insurance Corporation still covers less than 1% of the total arable or total farming size. That's less than 1%. So they're not even touching anything. CBN has disbursed, as at mid-2017, they had disbursed $1.1 billion. That's since the founding of the scheme. And we're talking about 8.7 billion annually in post-harvest losses, annually. And this is 1.7 over many years. So you can see there's a very big gap. What has the government been doing? The government has been doing everything they can possibly do, but as you can see the numbers up there in terms of tractor adoption, it never went above 10%, really. So they've had over the different eras, they've had different policies, they've had different approaches, and in one of the particular periods, they simply just gave up. Funny enough, kind of coincides with the era in which I was born. I don't know what we did to the government, but essentially they pretty much stopped spending so much on agricultural mechanization. All right, now I think the biggest problem of it all is that the government hasn't yet appreciated the scope of the issue. Let's use the actual equipment hiring enterprises, their targets, to judge that. So the target is 2014, a minimum of 6,000 units of tractors and 6,000 power tillers. We're talking about a market that needs 1.5 million tractors, if you go with the UN estimates. If you calculate it generally, let's say 700, 600,000 tractors. If your minimum target is 6,000, there's a problem. Because if what the market needs is 600,000, 1.5 million, then your minimum target better be like 100, 200,000, right? So they can't yet appreciate the scope, and it's understandable. It's not just Nigeria, it's everywhere in the world. Governments usually are behind the times because they focus more on policy and other things. But what has that resulted in? It has resulted in what Godson said: 7 tractors for 10,000 hectares of arable land. If you look at the graph there to the bottom right, you see the national adoption is 4%. So we haven't gone down. There was a time when it was 10%. Now it's pretty much 4% for mechanization services. All right, so now we get to why we're here. We've spoken about how big the problem is. We've spoken about why we cannot rely on the government to solve it. And now we're going to speak about the players that have entered into the space to solve the issue, but to solve it profitably, because that's what the private sector does. So I present here 3 MSPs. There are more, but just to give you an idea of the range of what they do. So we have Tofan here. That is an association. It basically aggregates the market in terms of the hiring providers, in terms of tractor owners, individuals, farmers, corporates. We have Traxi, that is focused on having a very large fleet of tractors. Some they operate, some they outsource. We have Elo Tractor, that's leveraging a lot on technology. They all leverage on technology, but the idea is what's the primary focus and what's the business model. So you can see that there's a wide diversity of business models. And all of these are here for one thing. They recognize that there's a big gap. They recognize that there's money to be made. And they've come up with recent business models that can tap into this. And the reason why you're here is because you also recognize that there's some value to be tapped into. So what's the size of this value? This is a very rough estimate, but the idea is to let you know how much can be made. From just land preparation alone, 1.7 trillion naira every year. How did we get to 1.7 trillion naira? If you calculate the daily sales from plowing 3 hectares per day for a tractor at 75,000 naira, then we say, okay, let's just extrapolate that to the entire arable land. Of course, nobody ever mechanizes or farms 100% of the arable land. But let's just do it for theoretical purposes, especially since we're not taking into other consideration things, services like spraying. We're not taking into consideration more complicated services or weeding. This is just land preparation, so we'll go through the full extent. 1.7 trillion will come from the sales, and then if you take away the typical services that have to go with providing the service by the mechanization service provider, we're looking at margins of 16.6% if the tractor is not owned by them, and we're looking at a gross margin of 56.6% if the tractor is owned by them, right? Now, 56.6% gross margin is not bad in any way. especially since the operating costs, the real operating costs, are administrative costs, technology costs, which actually die out or phase out with scale. So if you extrapolate, you'll say about 40% of that value is going to be kept by the mechanization service provider if they own the tractor. So if you put 40% of 1.7 trillion, that is a lot of money. But even if you use 16.6%, that's 283 billion naira annually. So if there were 10 mechanized service providers and you divide that by 10, you're looking at gross profitability of 28.3 billion annually. That's the money they're smelling. That's the value they're looking at. On ground is what they can see. And that is what investors invest in. They invest in what they can see and what can be realized. So what can be realized is a minimum of 1.7 trillion naira annually. The good thing about the models of mechanized service providers, just like most sensible private sectors, is that they tap into an existing network. So they're not building a new market. They're not creating a market. They're tapping into a market that exists. And that market consists essentially of the farmers, obviously, the buyers, the ultimate buyers of the service, the booking agents, who basically aggregate the demand, the hiring agent who starts to get to the supply side, who leases the tractor from the mechanized MSP, and then the MSP itself that deploys the tractors. So that already currently exists because of the nature of farming in Nigeria. Farming is done primarily by small-scale farmers. They're usually in rural areas, so the network is typically rural, and MSPs tap into that. All right, so now let's talk about everybody else and not just the MSPs. I make this presentation from the perspective of the MSPs because they act as aggregators of everyone else. The vendors, it's pretty much clear what they want. They want to sell tractors, they want to sell implements, right? And if you are at that larger scale or large buyer, they'll provide you post-sale services, right? So it's quite clear what they want to do. It's also clear what the maintenance and repair services providers want to do. They want to sell their services. It's clear the extension services, that's the government function typically, technical trading, and of course finance. Finance is also clear what they want. They want to give you money and they want to make returns on the money. The MSPs aggregate all of this. They bring all these people into one, because if the MSPs are doing well, definitely there'll be more tractor sales in Nigeria. But if you buy more tractors in Nigeria, it doesn't necessarily mean that the tractor sellers will do well, because they could be one-offs. You could buy the tractors, you may not utilize them so well, they're not profitable, so you stop using them. Or you don't know how to service them and they die off. So by looking at the MSPs, by looking at everybody through the lens of the MSPs, then we start to build sustainable models for everybody. The tractor suppliers want MSPs that can sustain sales annually. They want MSPs that can buy 20 tractors this month, 30 tractors next month, 50 tractors the other month, and I utilize them and say, hey, you know what, I have so many tractors from you, this level of this brand, we need post-sale services, we need replacements, blah, 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 blah. Now, because the MSPs aggregate pretty much everybody, they're able to serve all the different types. So there are farmers that own tractors, but they're only able to service those in their locality. The MSPs can service people, the farmers, in different geopolitical zones, essentially. Large, contiguous farmers, and even smallholder farmers through cooperatives. All right. So this is the last slide. And in this slide, I want to talk about, again, what is on the ground and what is to be benefited. Why the MSPs exist and why you should be in bed with them. So I'll go through the constraints. The existing constraint is capital intensiveness. As Gustin said, 11 million for a tractor, that's a lot. How much is it for a truck? Do you know? For a normal truck, a logistics truck. Sorry? 14 to 15 million. Okay, and with trucks, people kind of know what they do. They know how they're going to be operating every day. They are in the cities, so you don't have any fear of what they're actually doing. With tractors, they are usually in the rural areas. So the capital intensiveness and the fact that people are not very clear about the agri-business is a serious constraint. But look beyond the constraint and look at what the likely outcome is going to be. As MSPs get traction, the balance sheets are going to keep rising. As the balance sheets keep rising, they're going to have access to long-term loans. They're going to have access to equity capital. Who do you think they're going to be more interested in? New partners or partners that they rely on? New partners that have been there with them from the beginning? The answer is obvious. Sorry, old partners rather, that have been there with them from the beginning. The answer is going to lie with old partners. As they keep increasing their traction, they're going to be able to attract more equity because capital chases success, essentially. Right now, you're going to say, what are they really doing? What's their size? What's the dent in the market? But they are positioned right now to take advantage of it. Over time, they will keep ramping up. For every tractor that they get, that's more service providers. Godson was saying just now how many farmers had been reached, and he realized that he was actually the one outdated. Every day, new farmers are being reached, new customers are being serviced, the balance sheet sizes are going up, the revenue sizes are going up. I think it's time to be in bed with them now rather than later. The high cost of service provision. So we looked at a margin of 16.6% when they do not own the tractors. But that's because right now the scale is so small that they cannot get some of these services in-house. Right now, what's the point of hiring an operator when the scale doesn't warrant that? You rather leave the operator to be where he is and to operate the tractors when needed. But as the scale goes up, they get the mechanics in-house, they get the operators in-house, they get some level of post-sale services that the tractor vendors will be doing in-house. And that all reduces the cost of goods sold. So that increases their margins. The majority of the market, smallholder farmers, which is one of the biggest constraints actually, cannot afford the service. But they cannot afford the service because they don't have access to capital. And they don't have access to capital because of the subsistence and the fragmented level in which they exist. The CBN is looking for people like the MSPs. They're looking for the people, for the large-scale processors, for the anchor borrowing program. MSPs can tap into that as well. Because as they get in touch with small-scale farmers, they get to know who is credible, they get to know who wants the service and who will pay back. And as they provide that link between the financial institutions and the small-scale farmers, they basically increase their own sources of revenue. So these are the likely outcome of MSPs in the near future. Not right now where we are pretty much begging you guys for tractors. We're talking about when it's a full-fledged business in which there are tractors moving up and down the country. So that's a wrap for my presentation. The hope is that you think about this critically. You go through the material that's been provided to you, and you start considering being in bed with the MSPs because the future actually lies with them. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Aveti Ayu. I'll be talking you very quickly through the material in your hands, and what we've done is to sort of develop what we're calling a business case for investment in mechanization service provision, so that you can take this material away with you, so you don't leave here empty-handed, but you have a document of reference that you can sort of use to refresh your memories and then develop some deeper understanding into how the mechanization service provision business works. So again, I won't spend too much time talking because very shortly we'll have many of the MSPs in the room come up here and give you first-hand information than the second-hand information I'm about to provide you with. If we go straight to it, so the document you have in your hand is called the Tractor Hiring Service Business, and it's a case for investment. We've sectioned it into 4 groups. I know a lot of us have already read through. It essentially talks about, gives you an overview of the industry. We talk about the tractor hiring business, so we tell you how it works, how it's structured, who the key partners are, what the sources of revenue are, as well as we give you sort of like a single view really of all that's involved in the tractor hiring business. We also talk a little bit more about the financials. Again, if we're asking investors to look into this sector, then I think what most people want to know is where's the money. So we've done some analysis there where we talk about the finances. We show you what the cash flows are like. So the cash flows, in fact, the entire financial projections look at investment from the perspective of a single tractor. And I think that if you review the material and then you project this against multiple tractors, then like Imo said, there's a lot of profit to be made in this industry, and more than profit, there's a lot of demand to be serviced in the sector. And then finally, we provide you with some information on how to invest. So we essentially tell you there are a number of ways to participate or to get involved in the industry. If you are interested, you can enter as an individual investor. You can purchase a single tractor of your own. You can look into debt or equity capital. So there are a number of ways in which you can participate, and it's been graduated so that any form of interest in the sector can be serviced. It's not limited to only those who have million naira in capital to throw down immediately. Neither is it limited to those who are seeking to enter the market as an individual or more as a new entrant, more or less as a new MSP. If that's not your whole P, then you can still participate in the sector and in a manner that is convenient for you. So if we look very quickly at the industry overview, we know that the tractor market is growing very rapidly globally at a slower pace in Nigeria, but is growing nonetheless, and that growth is driven by increased demand for mechanized farming. Like Imo already referenced, we have an estimated adult farmer population of 77 million. Less than 2% of that population has access to mechanized agriculture, and more than half of that population is interested in mechanized agriculture for the very reason that rural labor, for many reasons, but a key driver is the fact that rural labor, which we all know is the source of labor, is insufficient. A lot of the young population, I can see this gentleman nodding and agreeing with me. So are you a farmer? Because you look like you're taking this very personal. But it's the truth. There's no labor, there's no rural labor left. So a lot of them are looking for alternative ways to continue to produce the food that we need for food security in Nigeria. And for that reason, there's very high demand for mechanization service provision. I know we have Tofan sitting right here. They will talk to you very shortly and give you an example with the fact that last year alone they generated over 12,000, or is that correct? Over 28,000, thank you, in demand from farmers looking for one sort of mechanization service or the other. They were able to service less than half of that, less than 12,000, for the reason that they didn't have enough equipment. So there's a lot of demand and there's a lot of profit to be made in the industry. It really changes things for the reach that MSPs are able to get to with this new agreement. And then the opportunities for investment, like I said, there's growing demand for mechanization services among smallholder farmers. We have a lot of intervention funds, which Imo referenced. There's the Anchor Borrower Scheme. There's a lot, to be fair. I mean, I know Imo did say, the government doesn't have all the solutions, which is the truth. But we have to sort of acknowledge the fact that they're doing what they can. And I think a good, which takes me to our discussion on policy, I think that a good development is the fact that the government is sort of refocusing its strategy from public-led to private sector-led interventions. So what they're trying to do is to create as enabling an environment as possible for people like you and I to invest in this sort of arrangement, to sort of promote mechanization development without them leading the charge themselves. And I think perhaps we'll see more favorable impact and more favorable results from, that strategy than the strategy that obtained previously. So we've done all this analysis so that, again, you can go back in your spare time and digest the information, and then we're available to answer any questions that you have. That said, I will invite Godson to come back and, continue with the program. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Aveti. Thank you. That was awesome. Thank you. All right, we are going to the next session. Usman will handle this section.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and we all welcome you to this great mechanization event. My name is Usman Kabir Musa. I happen to be the Agri Mechanization Market Manager for Propcom mai-karfi. So much has been said, and we will be starting right away with the main event. Why most of us are here to listen to the opportunities directly from the MSPs, which are the mechanization service providers. So without taking much of your time, I would like to call, we have a list of MSPs that will be making brief presentation, and I want us, please, because of time factor, to save time. You have just 5 minutes to make your presentation. I would like to call on the chairman of TOFAN, Alhaji Garba, to please make his presentation. Thank you.
So good morning all. You are all welcome to this event. My name is Alhaji Garba, the chairman of TOFAN. Though I'm not the one that is going to do the presentation, but my colleague Samayo will be the one. But after his presentation, this is my message to you. We will be glad to share our investment pitch decks. Likewise, we'll look at your interests so that we can see how we can start the growth of this mechanization aspect with you. So thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum.
My name is Musa Samaila. I'm the head admin and logistics for TOFAN. I will make a quick presentation for TOFAN now. Let's go to the next slide so that we don't take time. A quick who we are. We operate in 31 states. We are TOFAN. We operate in 31 states. We manage 552 for our partners, and we have 1,423 members. Quick of it, so far we've attracted an investment of 5.5 billion, over 552 tractors, and for the year 2018 we have generated for our partners 1.5 billion above. Just as the earlier presenters has made, that we were able to generate 28,000 demand for last year, but we were unable to meet the demands because of tractors shortage. Let's go next track. Yeah. As we know, Nigeria is very large. It comprises of about 84 million hectares arable land and 34 million that is under cultivation. I want to speak a little on this. 34 million hectares under cultivation is too large for a single MSP because it's a very large land. If we are to look at a tractor that takes about 300 to 400 hectares per annum, if it is, we are to look at how many tractors will be needed to meet up these 34 million cultivated hectares, we will be looking at about 70 to 100,000 tractors. And in Nigeria right now, we only have 7,000 functional tractors. So when we know in Nigeria, most farmers that we say we heard from the previous presentation, that Nigerian farmers, the crop production takes the large part of it, and most of those on the crop production are farmers that deals with hoe and human power. Now they take about 90% if you look at it, which means if the 34 million hectares were to be cultivated, that means 30 million 0.6 will be using hoe, which is too bad for this country. Only 3.4, which is 10%, of the total cultivable land that uses tractor. Let's go to the next. This is what it means. The business model, so maybe an investor comes, makes an investment, whether in cash or in kind, and then it's afforded for a tractor, and the tractor goes to the farmer, cultivates his land, and then revenue is generated. Everybody goes happy with something to take home. Let's go to the next slide. Now, this is a preview. This has been done before, earlier on, but I'll just run through it. We know very well that, as I said earlier on, that only 10% of farmers use tractors, and the 28,000 bookings that I said earlier, only 7 was service. And we know that in Nigeria, as you said, less than 7,000 tractors are available. So within the radius of 100 hectares square, that is 1,000 hectares, we only find just little below 7 tractors, which is not good. We know that in Kenya, they have about 27 within 1,000 square, or 100 hectare square, which, if we look at Kenya, if they cultivate using Nigerian landmass, they will need about 60,000 tractors. And here in Nigeria, we're talking about only 7,000 functional tractors, which is too bad for this country. Now, we will go to see that what is hindering this. Why is tractor becoming a problem in Nigeria? It's because of the high cost, which has been highlighted earlier on in the beginning. The high cost of tractor, before it was about 3-4 million. Right now we'll be talking about 11-12 million, which is huge. And most banks, let's go back, please. Okay, most banks do not understand mechanization. That is another problem. They will come and say they want to recoup back their interest they want their capital interest within 3 years. And this is capital intensive. For you to be able to work with a tractor and generate, say, 12 million, 15, 13 million within 3 years, you know, it's not an easy thing. So that becomes a problem. Most of the interventions we get in Nigerian mechanization is mostly political. Nobody wants to go to real business. To identify those who are doing real business is a problem because political issues in Nigeria. So that has built up the problems we have in mechanization. Next slide, please. So we are seeking to increase our portfolio. I'm talking about TOFAN now. To increase our portfolio to about 1,000 tractors within the period of 2 years. Now the question is, how possible is that? Now that is why we're here in this room. Next slide, please. Now we have given an opportunity for investors to choose the model they want. We are the TOFAN. We are people who give a free choice. You understand? You have freedom to choose. So we gave investment opportunities. You could look at which one you can build into, fit into, and then we go together. The first model, we say cash investment. This cash investment, you could bring in cash, and which you could use to run in these operations, which at the end of the day, when we are able to get 16%, we'll be able to give you out 10% of it, and we can manage the remaining. Are we together? So this is the first model, in which if you are entering into this model, we are saying that once you enter into this model, you must give us opportunity to be able to recoup back the capital. That is to say, in 5 years, you cannot, when you are entering this kind of investment, you enter it within 5 years, so that this money you are giving us, it might not really be 12 million, it might not be 10, it might be 1 million, because we have a minimum of 1 million on this. From 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, if you have, you can bring in. But what we use this money to is to buy assets. These assets, you know, they are capital intensive. You cannot come after buying the assets today, then next year you come and say, no, we want your interest back, your principal back. You know, it's difficult. So we must give us room for us to be able to get back your money in, say, 5 years. We have the model B, which is owner option. You can buy the tractor and come and give to us and say, let's manage for you. In this, you'll be getting an annual income revenue of 2.4. Next slide. Owner option, we have second one. The first one is where you don't need to bother about repairs. Where there's repairs on these tractors, you don't need to bother. All you need to do is that your income will be given to you every year at 2.4. But the second option is where you will take care of major repairs. In this, you'll be able to get 3 million, but where there are major repairs, we'll look for you for it. And this investment model, we are only giving room for people to come in. You can only do it, the minimum is 1 year. Okay, then we have the C, hire purchase, which is where you give us a tractor, put your margin and tell us, then we negotiate. How long do we pay you? You will negotiate the margin that you're going to add to it. I think with this, the next slide is the end, I think. Thank you very much.
I'll be calling on Mr. Vaughn, the Managing Director of Olivia, to also come right to the podium to make his presentation.
Good day, everybody. I'm not Mr. Vaughn. I wish I was. I work with him. I'm the commercial manager for Alluvial Agriculture. And our story is quite simple. I'm not going to bore us with statistics because I know that we have had our full share of that, and the statistics are really very interesting, mind-boggling, and the reason why we're all here. Thank you. So basically, I'm just going to take us through our story, which is how we do the business that we do, mechanization, but we look at it holistically. We're looking at it from the point of view of where the ultimate end is. So we take it from the person who is going to buy what the farmer is doing, because ultimately we're mechanizing for a farmer. We are preparing land or harvesting or applying chemicals. What the farmer wants to do at the end of the day is to what he produces to somebody who actually wants to buy what he produces. So Alluvial, in this model, Alluvial is working with a company, DRL. DRL is the off-taker. Alluvial is the supplier and the facilitator of the value chain. And then we have Sterling Bank there, who is a financer. This is a project for a rice mill in Niger State, which is actually a project we're working on right now. Okay, so basically this is how the structure is. DRL is the off-taker, I said that earlier. So basically what DRL is doing is off-taking and then providing guarantee to the financier that, okay, look, if these guys do this, if the farmer farms, we are going to buy everything. And then they also provide guarantee, like that means ensure, convince the bank, in this case Sterling Bank, that look, yes, we are fully involved with that through an agreement, an off-take agreement, which actually kickstarts the whole process. Because we don't want farmers, we don't want the issues of post-harvest losses and all those things and uncertainty which actually affects the industry. So, thank you. So Sterling Bank is a bank. They provide the funds to the farmers. So how Alluvial is doing this is, we are going from the off-taker, starting from the off-taker in the room, bringing the off-taker in the room, the financier in the room, and the farmer into the room. So the farmer wants, what Olivia is doing is, okay, look, our challenge has been as a mechanization provider that we don't want a situation where we're taking tractors all over the place, where we want to do 2 hectares here, want to do 3 hectares here, and then kilometers. So what we do is we've gotten all these farmers together, maybe 200 of them, 500 of them, 1,000 of them, and look, okay, we have this here, and this is where you're doing this work. So okay, but it will be a challenge for some of these farmers to farm at the scale that they want to, but if there's financing, they might be able to do it better. Okay, look, this is what we want to do. Of course, we are the ones that are going to provide the mechanization services, and we're going to ensure that the farmers stick to the specification of the off-taker. At the end of the day, we ensure nobody is diverting chemicals or taking money to do something. So they produce, we ensure that at the end of the day, the farm produce is also sold to the off-taker. So we provide, we come in with the mechanization services, but if the farmers also need some counseling regarding the right kind of inputs, also suggests that the best practices are carried out. We back their money from financing the project, and the off-taker gets the right and the desired quality of seeds. So this method, we don't just come in with our tractors. Look, we don't care what you do, just give us your land, we cultivate and we go. No, we're looking at it that, look, if we have a system from a holistic point of view, then we ensure that we can scale up. We ensure that we can keep having repeat sales, because a major problem of the mechanizer, so to say, is the availability of a land in a way that is economical, to land preparation effectively. So that's basically our story. That's what Olivia is doing. We just finished a program like this in Benue. We cultivated about rice. We did something in Akwa Ibom, although we had some challenges there because of the flood, and also in Delta State. This is where we are, this is what we do, and we are looking at opportunities where we can do more work with people in this room. We're looking at financiers here who will be willing to come on board. We have a similar project, 2,000 hectares, coming up with University of Agriculture for soybeans and maize. So we're willing to work with any financier and equipment manufacturers or companies on this model. I believe this model is very effective because we actually call it a community block farming model, because if you get farmers together, every other thing works well. They are the key component of the value chain, the farmer. They are the key component of the value chain. Thank you. Yeah.
Mr. Tio from Traxi Continental, please.
A better offering for the farmers, for the benefit of the farmers. I think for Traxi, our view is we need to boost the production of the farmer, and we need to make sure that there is enough food, and this can only be done through mechanization. And I am going to make a few comments on the presentations made so far. Someone who made a comment to me which I found to be true in everything that I look at, especially when you look at it from outside. They told me that grass is always greener near the sewage. So when you look at mechanization, sometimes you think the grass is very green. For us who are inside, we are here to share with you the practicalities and the realities of what it is. It's one of those necessary activities, but we have to give a cautionary that it's not as smooth and as lovely as it looks. When you get the revenue numbers that were being quoted here, as an investor, what we are saying to you is we have invested in this business, do it cautiously, and if you need tips, we will give you, because we have paid adequate school fees in this instance. Please, next slide. Why mechanization is important to Nigeria, we have proved that farmers can actually increase their profitability by 30%, and we have a strategy that by 20 the farmers that we work with should increase by that much, and we are targeting 500,000 of those. Next slide. It's true that by mechanization you can increase the yields of the farmer 3 times or 3-fold. So mechanization makes sense. If you look at the graph on the right, there is a yield opportunity to go up. For those who are yielding 1.2 of anything, it can go up to 3.6, and there is evidence between Nigeria and Vietnam, which is a country similar to ours here. Number one, you can do land preparation on time, you can plant ideally, you can and fourthly, the post-harvest handling is done in a proper way when the system is fully mechanized. Next slide. More tractors are needed in this country, but there is a red but, which we put as a cautionary from my first statement. Number one, we have seen that we know that the HPs per hectare need to go up from the 0.27 to 1.5, which has been presented before. But that but, which I'm talking about, number one, there is poor return on investment based on low utilization. Why is there low utilization? There are many reasons which are in there where you will find that people are talking about shortage of tractors, but at the same time, people who have got tractors are talking about shortage of utilization. So there is a disconnect somewhere. You know, it does not make sense to say we need 75,000 tractors and we've got 7,000. And then someone who has got 20 tractors is complaining that my tractors are not being utilized. I want to think that it is forums like this where we are going to decipher this whole thing and get to understand exactly what is it that is making this entire value chain not to work the proper way. Now, number two, poor maintenance culture. Yeah, this is one big issue where even the tractors which are available in the country, most of them are working 50% or 10% or half percent. Some are limping, some are parked. You find that a tractor which is supposed to last for 10, we were discussing just now that in some countries a tractor will last between 15 and 20 years. But our observation in this country, you are lucky if your tractor goes up to 4 years. Because by the time a tractor goes to 2 years, some of them actually don't work anymore. So it's a culture which needs to change, and it's people who are in this room who have to change it. One of the reasons which makes this a problem is that when there is too much demand for a tractor, someone was telling me outside that some of the tractors are working 24 hours throughout the day, throughout the night to try and cover the hectares. But this is being done without caring for the particular tractor that we're talking about. At Traxi, we've actually changed our culture and the way we look at things. We believe that our boss is not the shareholder or the man who is leading the company, but our boss is the tractor. If we don't look after that machine, there is no business to talk about. Poor OEM support with spares, backup and repairs. This is a culture which has been inherent where the OEMs, they like to sell their machinery, they sell you their tractor, and that's where they end. The next relationship they want to see is selling you another tractor. So I'm saying this openly because this is not something which we don't share with our OEMs, but it's a culture which needs to change. But if we are going to make progress, in developed countries, actually OEMs make more money or more business sense from spares backup and spares selling than from selling tractors. In this country, it's the other way around. It's lopsided, and that has to change. Brand integrity limitations, mechanized services, recipes. Right now, we've got specific ways of doing land preparation that we're using. We need to relook at that. And then number 6, business ethics in service relationships is also questionable. Next slide, please. Now, what we are here to say is, as Traxi, one of our crunch words is collaboration. As you can see, there's so many tractors which are needed in Nigeria and such few service providers. We heard that there are about 7 MSPs. For all these states, that's a lot. But you will find it's necessary for us to collaborate than to try and fight or compete. We are not yet competing. We don't need to compete. We actually need to work together to get somewhere. I just put a picture there to show 3 guys who are on one side and 3 on the other trying to pick fruit. The other side are almost filling a basket, and the other side, they've got none. The truth, they realize that they can only push each other up to be able to harvest. The other ones, each one for himself. Traxi cannot do it alone. You can do it on your own. Together we can do better. Next slide, please. Same thing. There is more than enough space for us all. We need to work as a team. Team on the left, the other guy is trying to climb the same side, he's pulling him down. On the other side, same team, they are pushing each other up. We need to be more on the right-hand side, and we are the team that needs to push each other up. If I'm operating in Bauchi State, support me in Bauchi. And if someone else is in Sokoto, Let's make sure the guy in Sokoto is doing efficiently. I think one of the things that we have done as Traxi is to collaborate with everybody who is in the system. We work with everybody. We work with Tofan, they are our right-hand man. We work with Hello Tractor, we use their system. We work with almost everybody who is in the pipeline of this particular business. We know that we can't do it alone. Next. Right. Briefly, what we are doing, our small contribution is Traxi. Next. We provide a few services, things like disking, harrowing, harvesting, haulage. Next. We also do land clearing at the beginning. So basically what we're saying is, as Traxi, we provide end-to-end services in mechanization in agriculture. And we do this through ourselves, through our partners, together with our partners, and together with people that collaborate with us. Next. Social impact. We believe in everything we do, there must be a definite, defined, and deliberate social impact. Next. I will not go through the detail of this slide, but basically smallholders with 0.5 to 2 hectares of land, it's true and a fact that they cannot buy their own tractors. That's why we are here, and that's why we are there, to make sure that at least they can afford to pay for the service on their own land, for the size of their land. Secondly, currently only 1 in 9 smallholder farmers has access to a rented tractor or service, because they are too scarce. 1 in 9. So which means we need to multiply ourselves 9 times what we are now to get a tractor nearer to a farmer. That's the level of growth that we need to do. Thanks. Now, we have done some work in trying to verify the benefit that we are bringing to the farmers. I'll summarize that this is where we get the 33% growth economically to the farmer. We were comparing to manual land preparation versus what we do, and these are real numbers that came from the land based on our farmers that we have worked with. Thank you. This is a busy slide, just trying to share what we have in terms of machinery and the farmers that we work with, and also looking at the actual years, the utilization that we get during the wet season and the dry season accordingly. And a cross-section of our partners. Like I said, we view our business as part of the ecosystem. We have key clients and customers. Those are people that we've worked with and that we are working with. Our technology partners, our financiers and financial partners, and then equipment partners, spanning from Tofan, Tata, Springfield, Dizengoff, Komatsu, and New Holland. I'm deliberately mentioning those names because they are key support partners to us as a company who have supplied us with the tools that we use and the mechanization services that we provide. They come from those people. Thank you. And just for your information, this is the team that is leading Traxi at the moment, from by diverse backgrounds. The idea is to make sure that farmers are well serviced. Next slide, please. And thank you very much. These are our contact details. We'll also be there. We've got a stall at the back. Thanks to Propcom. We really appreciate being here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Wonderful presentation. I'm sure most of us have taken the questions we want to ask Traxi after this event. We will be calling on AHOA, right? That's Agricultural Equipment and Hiring Operation Association. The chairman, Prince Bamboo, represented.
Good morning. My name is Biodun Olugwami. I am a Yoruba man. I am from Kaduna State. I won't bother you with the factual details of what I'm going to say about what I just mentioned now, but let us go into I'm representing my chairman, Prince Bambo Ademilui, for this presentation. AOA is operating in all the 36 states. We started off by a program of the federal ministry called Agric Hiring Enterprise. And that program gave at least 5 tractors to 80 enterprises in 2015, and all of those tractors were located in each of the 36 states of the Federation. So we have representation everywhere in the country. The tractor fleet that we have is about 600, a little bit over 600 units of tractors, and we, over the period of time, have worked on about 180,000 hectares of land right around the country. Now, AOA, as you see, is an association of entrepreneurs. Everybody that is a member, we have about 130 members. Everybody that is a member of AOA has between 5 and 3 tractors. Minimum of 3 tractors, a maximum of 5 tractors. And in addition to that, we have threshing equipment. We have a few harvesting equipment. We have power tillers for locations where ordinarily tractors will not be able to be profitable to be used for smaller hectareages. So we have a lot of equipment that are put together for the purpose of me reaching out to smallholder farmers. Well, like any other organization, major problem that AOA has is working capital finances. And we work in 2 forms in AOA. First, we work with as direct tractor hiring organization. We use our tractors to provide tractor services to people directly. The other thing we do is to be able to work, because mechanization is a subset of a farming program. We and our members are basically, they cut across all the supply value chain of the farming business. We have chemical suppliers amongst our members. We have spare parts suppliers amongst our members, and we try to pull these resources together to be able to put in locations. So we created a small concept in us, which we call building up rural communities using mechanization as a seed capital. We hope that we will be able to use this to get to specific farms that will bring in younger people from the society and move away from the traditional farming system where people are attached to family land, and bring people from those communities into an already opened area where farming can be done on a larger scale. So we are looking at a possibility of investment in those 2 sections. Investment in the farm, agri-farm machineries, and for those who want to go a little bit larger, investment in the larger space of farming. And we have looked at it that if you invest in the machinery, it will cost you, because we do have tractors that are underutilized and some of them are idle, and we wouldn't want to be like the ordinary, we wouldn't want to follow the ordinary Nigerian culture of abandoning our equipment without resuscitating them and then going in to buy new products. What we are trying to do now is to make sure that we resuscitate the machines that we have, put them to maximum use, and in the course of the success of that, bring in new machines. And So you can invest in machine equipment resuscitation, and each tractor that we have analyzed that it will cost about 2 million naira to resuscitate a machine, and we have it in lots. We have about 600, but we will take it in lots of 20, 20, 20. And the returns on that investment is about 35% per annum. And if you would invest in the other angle, which is farming completely, what we will do is to invest in a product that all of us products that all of us know will sell: maize and soya. And if we do the farming product, if you make an investment, you will be making an investment of 300,000 naira per hectare, and your returns at the end of the year will come to about 40% of per investment unit. So what we are saying in effect is that we do have, and we are working with a lot of off-takers. We do have some farming spaces. So if investors come, we would invest in those places, put our machines in those locations, from land preparation to post harvest preparation, and we will be able to get this kind of returns that we have said. Thank you very much.
We'll call on Alhaji Sadiq, Chairman, Northeast Commodity Association, NECAS.
My name is Abel Lakiam. I am here on behalf of NECAS, representing Sadiq Umar Dawari, our national chairman. I'm here with my able head of mechanization, and we'll do justice to what we have to say now. We at NECAS are a regional association, and of course, you know, there is no gainsaying that the region we represent is bedeviled by a range of problems. Prominent among them is, of course, insurgency. And within the last 2 years, we've been able to engage in a lot of things. I will not need to go through the states, you know, Adamawa, you have Borno, Bauchi, Gombe, Taraba, Yobe. The figures speak for themselves. That is what is obtainable on ground in the Northeast. But that is not our major concern here. Let's go forward, please. Now, we've been able to identify the problems involved in mechanization within the region, and the problems have been broken down into different components. We talk about the fragmentation of the land, which one of our speakers actually talked about before now, the poor awareness. Many don't even know that the services are available for them to really enjoy, and those things are a problem. Grassroots participation is also lacking, and then we have, of course, in the Northeast, finance is a problem because of the situation they found themselves. But now let's go. Let's see what we think we can do. These are the figures of what we've been able to achieve over the last 2 years, and the number of farmers we've been able to reach, and the access we've granted several of them to finance. But now let's look at it. What can be done? That's our major focus. What can be done so far? We need partnerships and collaborations. One, in capacity building. We discover that if we are not able to train and equip in every area, the agents, booking agents, and the marketers, then the service will not reach the end user, that is the smallholder farmer. Then apart from that, we now discover that we have been gyrating only along one segment of the mechanization value chain, and that is land preparation. There are other areas we can also play in, areas like the use of the boom sprayers, the planters. Then you go into post-harvesting. We now go into post-harvest handling also. Those are areas we want to shore up investment into, so that with that, we'll be able to use that as a form of also value addition that will increase income to the smallholder farmer. And we have issues with access to finance, because most of the farmers there either are directly or indirectly affected by the displacement caused by the insurgency. So we are looking at a social investment program that will be able to empower them to even have access to mechanization. That is one area we are really looking at, and we are hoping that we shall have other collaborations in this area. Of course, we have looked at the area of value addition. We have so much that is being produced, but because we are not mechanizing the agriculture, we discover that even the standardization of the products is an issue. You go to a place and you want to go into processing, and you discover there is long grain, short grain, and they are mixed together, and at the end of it all, you are not bringing out the right product that could sell in the market. So if we're able to mechanize harvest, mechanize post-harvest, will not only increase value, but also reduce post-harvest losses, which will raise the income level of the smallholder farmer and give him enough to be able to access the other aspect of mechanization. That is the big picture before us, and which we intend to accomplish. Now, we are just looking at this as this is just like our milestone, what we intend to accomplish within the short period we have. Currently, we have within our fleet about 600 tractors, which we feel we will be able to use to reach our captive market operating right now. And then, if we want to take it to a more commercial scale, there are a lot of farmers who are not included in our platform, which we intend to also use this period to bring on our platform. This is all we have to offer out to you, and we hope that we'll collaborate more. I don't want to waste much of your time. Thank you.
We're incorporated in the year 2014, and we have a variety of agricultural mechanization services that we provide to farmers in Nigeria. We work from end to end, so from land clearing up until the harvest. So we offer land clearing services, land prep, farm maintenance services like boom spraying, etc., harvesting services, and agri equipment support services. So you realize, I don't know, my fellow MSPs can attest to this. One of the issues we face on the field, Nigeria is so vast, and so is that support infrastructure to provide service to enable or to enhance robust service delivery in the interior is a bit weak. So you find things like diesel supply chain, things like transporting your assets from here to here being critical issues that you have to deal with to be able to either succeed or not succeed in this business. Our footprint, we maintain a presence in every geopolitical zone in Nigeria. We've grown our asset base from tens of millions in 2014 to over 3 billion in 2019. Next slide. Our value proposition, what do we do? What we are in business to do is to increase productivity through the provision of up-to-date mechanization services to farmers at affordable prices, whilst also facilitating a guaranteed market for their output. So it does not make sense, or for us it makes sense that you're providing service to someone, but then if you just provide it once, all for the sake of providing, you need to guarantee return business, which is what we try to do with, linking them to off-takers, or giving off-takers, linking them, creating a market linkage between off-takers and producers, so that we as service providers are guaranteed return business. Challenges we face, go back. Market demand fragmentation. I liked the comments that one of us made from Traxi. It seems great. The business, yes, on paper, but there are quite a lot of, what's the word? Quite a lot of, you need to understand it. And one of the issues that each person or each MSP faces is the issue of demand fragmentation. I'll give you an example. 2 weeks ago, we got a request for a harvester, for harvesting services for what? 3 hectares. I mean, the cost of transporting your asset halfway would obviously, whatever they are going to pay for that, that'll be it. So it cannot even cover the cost of you transporting your asset from one location to the other. But if there was a case where 100 people, or let's say 50 people, request that 3 hectares at the same time, it makes business sense for you to then do that. So that's one of our major challenges, and obviously there are players out there who are trying to solve this, but it's still a major issue. Also, one of our challenges is lack of ready access. When it's not just not access, but ready access, you need it now. A week ago, we needed one particular equipment. I mean, someone said he had it, we went there, and oh, yesterday somebody came and picked it up. We have to wait 3 months to get it. Meanwhile, we need it now. So these are some of the issues we face as a business, an MSP. Next slide, please. So what are our models? A lot of people have described all the major models we have, or we typical MSPs utilize in the sector. The agency model you have people who come to you directly, oh, I need this, I have this number of hectares, I need this, you deploy assets. Public sector service provision, so things like the anchor borrowers, you have people, the public sector, this here, we need your assets, or we need your services to be provided in these locations. So as a result of the demand fluctuation we typically have as MSPs, we started to think creatively, and I think other MSPs are actually doing the same. So on my next slide, you see our recent activities. One of the things we did was to work with an agricultural investment company to sort of create demand for the assets. So there's demand created. It was facilitated by Keystone Bank. The proposal was for 20,000 hectares, but I tell people, like I jokingly said to someone, there's a reason why in the factors of production, in economics, they tell you land, labor, capital. You can have all the capital, you can have all the labor, in this case the assets, but if the land issue in Nigeria, land encumbrance, oh, you want to start something, you've already agreed with someone somewhere, and they come, oh no, this can't happen, it becomes a big issue. So we worked with them to provide service to about 3,000 hectares in Jigawa and Kano. We also replicated that with rice in Jigawa, the same partners. Next slide. In just, this is one location, about 280 hectares. I mean, vast land, but it was easy, it made sense because demand was clustered. You aggregated demand, so you can provide service all at the same time. So this was a drone footage of one of the sites. Sorry? Okay. Oh, location, Jigawa, Hadejia in Jigawa. Be able to harness what our comparative advantage is. We have quite a lot of land. The demand, the local demand is there. We need to work on proposals that sort of speak to where cluster demand, one person is demanding, a guaranteed off-taker is demanding a particular product. We are able to produce that with the specifications or within the specifications of the guaranteed off-taker, second time or third cycle, that is our own proposal. So we are willing to work with people who are interested in financing such structured deals, where a guaranteed off-taker is wants a particular product, a particular support services. And I was talking about diesel. I mentioned diesel supply chain. One of the issues we have, and one of the things, Theo mentioned something about the life cycle, or how long it will take for a tractor, how long a tractor will service you typically in Nigeria. One of the products is flawed. You're not able to access quality diesel at a good rate to make it worth your while. We're able to provide support services to you so that you can your assets have a longer lifespan. Harvesters as well, tractors, etc.
All right, thank you very much, Chairman, Managing Director of ACT, Mr. Chibueze. Now we'll be calling on MECAS, the Group Country Director, Mr. I.B. Gashimbaki. I hope MECAS are here with their presentation, or a representative. Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Emmanuel. I'm Business Development Manager, MECA, Machine and Equipment Corporation, Africa. I'm presenting our Group Country Director, Mr. I.B. Gashimbaki. Okay, so the first slide here is the Nigerian context, Nigerian situation, which a lot of people have talked about already, so I'm not going to dwell here. But I want to draw your attention to the fact that based on the survey that we did, there are over 55,000 broken down but serviceable tractors all across Nigeria, different states in Nigeria, and over 5,000 heavy-duty machines also. You know, so that is quite an alarming situation. Of course, a lot of, like I said, a lot of people have talked about the mechanization situation in Nigeria. So basically, that is the challenge and the context in which we're operating. Next slide, please. Now, MECA, Machine and Equipment Corporation Africa, is an engineering, operations, and technical assets management company. MECA is multifaceted, but within the context of this particular program, I would focus on our agricultural work and activities. So our unique industry position is that we operate a model called the M2U model. In other words, the manufacturers to users. So we have created a platform where we can connect manufacturers and users also on one side. So we have the OEMs, a number of them here that we partner with. And then, of course, on the other side, we have the users, the cooperatives, the farmers, government, individuals, and the investors. So basically, that's what we, the model we operate. And across Nigeria, we have presence in 17 states, 25 co-location workshops. We are partners with, we are strategic partners with NASENI and also with NISAL, technical advisors to NISAL. So we have presence across Nigeria, as you can see, all the blue states, and we service over 20 million active farmers in these 17 states. Okay, so what we do essentially, now somebody, I think the person from Traxi said something about the tractor being the boss, and I quite agree with that. And I just want to say that if the tractor is the boss, our work is to keep the boss showing up for work, meaning that we work to ensure that the tractor is available for work in good condition. So MECA undertakes recovery, repair, maintenance, procurement, management, and commercial operation of tractors, and even heavy-duty machines. And I know that the focus has been on tractors, but just like somebody mentioned, it actually starts with land clearing. And in areas like the southeast and all that, the issue really is about land clearing, first of all, for you to be able to have access to the arable land. So we still have that in focus, and we attend to that. So we have heavy-duty machines that attend to land clearing. So we have end-to-end agricultural mechanization services and recovery repairs. Now, on your way out, if you would look at our stand there by the door, you would see pictures, graphics of what we have done in recovering dead tractors and bringing them back to life, functional. We've done that in Niger State government, 50 tractors. That was the pilot project. Recovered 50 tractors that were wrecked, and I mean the pictures are there, they speak for themselves, and now they have been deployed for this season. So on your way out, please take a look at that, and you understand what we're talking about in terms of recovery and refurbishment of tractors. Though that does not still even scratch the surface of what Nigeria needs in terms of tractor density. So the 55,000 we're talking about still is just a needle, a drop in the ocean when we talk about the need that Nigeria has for tractors. Next slide, please. Okay, these are some of our achievements so far. We have 130 tractors under joint management with TOAN in Mina. We have 50 tractors refurbished and redeployed in Niger State. We have 56 World Bank Fadamatri AF tractors under our management. Of course, the World Bank Fadamatri project is winding up this year, and we have, as an exit strategy for the World Bank Fadamatri project, we have taken on their tractor assets, refurbished and redeployed them. We also have 30 tractors under joint management with AFAN in Kano. So all in all, we have 255 tractors under management, and over 106 tractors so far recovered, refurbished, and redeployed. So what are we offering this morning to investors? We have a product that we call the Mecha Agro Money. Essentially, the model here is that you as an investor, you invest your funds with Mecha, and what Mecha tries to do is to take care of these machines, not just deploying these machines for commercial operations, but because of the capacity and the reach that we have for repairs and refurbishment, we're also able to provide management services, meaning that the maintenance and the repairs of these tractors, we undertake that. You don't have to bother about that. And you would agree with me, part of the fact that were outlined in the brochure that we have is that tractor breakdown of machinery is one of the key risks in investing, and that is so true. As a matter of fact, I don't think it's medium risk in the risk assessment. I think it is high risk, because it's something that you have to deal with every day as you operate, breakdown of machines. So what we provide is that we're able to keep these machines working, because the maintenance, the repairs, we take care of that. So under this scheme, for the investor, we take your funds, we acquire the tractors from one of our partners, one of the OEMs that are seated here, and then we deploy them for commercial operations. So all you do as an investor is to sit back and enjoy your returns. We take care of the commercial operations, the repairs, the maintenance, the management. So it's a wonderful deal, a wonderful package with a very good return also, up to 18% per annum return. Next slide. We also have what we call the Green Income Partner. Now, if you are not investing funds, you say, I have tractor assets already sitting down, they are not utilized, we can take this, and under our management, we operate them, commercially operate them, and we make returns to you. So either way, if you have funds or you have tractor assets sitting, we can partner with you as an investor and give you good value for your money. And like I said, the repairs, the maintenance, and the management are on us. So for you as an investor, I don't think you can get a better deal. So essentially, these are the two packages that we believe investors in this context would want to look at. And we invite you to talk with us more. Whatever questions you have, you can reach us. And when it's time for questions and answers, we'll be available to answer whatever questions you may have. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And thanks for keeping to time. Next on the program agenda is Hello Tractor. Hello Tractor will be talking briefly on the technology aspect and the prospect for investment.
Good morning, everybody. Among the issues stated, almost every MSP spoke about fragmented demand, among other challenges. My name is Munza Ambima. I'm the lead hardware engineer for Hello Tractor. And I'm just going to be, I was given 5 minutes to just speak about Hello Tractor and what we do. So the issues we're trying to address is issues within the ecosystem, the mechanization ecosystem. Farmers lack access to mechanization. They are not aware it exists. They don't know where exactly it is. They don't know how to access the service. Tractor owners have problems getting their tractors into the market because they don't have visibility over their assets. What it is doing, is it generating revenue, or is it just moving? And they also have challenge keeping tracks of the maintenance, because lack of maintenance is one of the major issues why tractors break down far before their lifespan actually elapses. Yeah. So tractor owners lose a lot of revenue because operators take their tractors to the field, they work with it, but then they don't make returns as they should. They take the tractor for 1 month to come back to tell you that they have only worked for 2 days, and then there is no way for you to prove that they have actually worked, so you lose money in that process. Dealers, on the other hand, most of the dealers, if you can ask them questions now, how well is their service business doing? They have technicians, but are the technicians always engaged? They sell tractors into the market a lot of times where they lose track of those tractors. They don't know. The banks, everybody complain about the banks. They are not lending money for mechanization. They are not lending money for farmers to farm. They are not lending money for MSPs to acquire more machines. And most of the times, the terms and conditions for the repayment of these loans is more complex. And Tofan can testify that it's usually very hectic. The loan tenure is very long, it's very short, so it's very difficult for them to meet up with that. So the Hello Tractor solution, we are leveraging on the world-based technologies to provide support for this entire ecosystem. At the backbone of our technology is a telematic device we install on tractors, which enable us to capture data from tractor activities. We're able to track the location, what the tractor is doing, how many engine hours, and so forth. That data we package for the different stakeholders in the ecosystem. The tractor owners are able to see where the tractors are, how many hours they have been used, what they have been used for, and things like that. The farmers, through booking agents, we enable them to know where these machines are, and then we connect them with these machines. They can book for tractor services using our app, and they can access those mechanization services. The banks, on the other hand, we help them to track those assets that they have invested in. We help them to know how these tractors are being utilized so that they can forecast what to expect as repayment for these loans. We also help them with understanding the demand, how the demand for these services are actually coordinated, where the demands are, and things like that. The dealers, on the other hand, where there is a service agreement, we can help the dealers to keep track of the maintenance needs of these tractors according to the engine hours of utilization. We can also help them to market their spare part on their platform if they want to do that. And then we have been partnering with a lot of dealers. Presently, we have presence in 13 countries. Nigeria is one of them. Nigeria is the biggest. But we have presence in Ghana, in East Africa. In West Africa, we're in Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Senegal. We're doing Angola, South Africa, Kenya, Malawi, Mozambique, and so forth. In Asia, we're in Pakistan, we're in India. And then we're presently working in Thailand to actually start activities there. So far, we have more than 2,000 tractors on our platform and still counting. We have a lot of customers. Most of the MSPs in this place are our customers. They can tell you about us and what we do. We have about 24 dealers across these 13 markets. And then we have about 6 financial institutions as customers that we are providing information for, which is relevant in portfolio management. So our product offering, like I said, the backbone of it is a telematic device we install on the tractor. We have 2 types. We have the basic and the premium. And then we have tractor or MSP applications that they use to manage their fleet. We have the mobile app, we have the web app, but all of them are enjoying, you can get them and enjoy them on the same license. And then we have 2 different licensing. We have 2 different licenses, the basic and the premium license. The premium license comes for devices that have fuel monitoring capabilities, where we're able to show you how many liters in the tank. If you give 10,000 naira for the operator to buy fuel and then you buy the fuel and add, you can look at the percentage of fuel or the number of liters he added to know if it makes sense compared to what you gave him to buy. And then you can also track fuel theft. If that ever happens, we help you to track that. So, and then we also have thefts. So we help you to know, even in the fragmentation, in the fragmented nature of these demands, we help you to know where are the small plots, if it makes business sense for you to deploy a tractor at that instance, what is the nature of job that they want, which implement should you go or deploy the tractor with. We help you to make such informed decisions. On the other end, on the demand aggregation section of the farm, we help you to do that. So that way, the bookings are captured and then they are sent. Now, we are aware that there are a lot of challenges in the rural areas because it's not everywhere that there is GSM coverage. So we tailored our apps in such a way that they can capture these bookings even offline. So you can capture the bookings in rural areas where there is no network. When you come back to where there is network, you own your data and then it uploads that booking and it gets to the MSPs and then they allocate tractors to you. We also have our last product offering is this that we tailor towards financial institutions. So if you want to finance agricultural machines, we can help you with this technology in the management of such portfolios. Well, like I said, I've mentioned a lot of these. We have been in operation for 5 years. Now we have about more than 22 employees. We have presence in 13 countries, working with this number of customers. Next slide. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So we've come to the end of this particular section. The main section we've been waiting for, question and answers. So before we start, I'll be handing the microphone to Professor Simon to give us a brief comment on some observation.
Mine is an appeal to Propcom and mechanization service providers. I represent the National Association of Yam Farmers, Processors and Marketers as the national president. And when Tofan made their presentation, you talked about 84 million arable land, 34 million under cultivation. But I want to say that out of this land, 5.4 million hectares is under yam alone. 5.4 million hectares is under yam. And this is land that is not under mechanization. Because if you know the process of yam production, there is nothing mechanization from the beginning to the end. And this is a challenge because this 5.4 million hectares is locked in and is not available for you. But what are we going to do? Because we now want to make this hectarage available for mechanization. And the justification for why we want to do this is because we can't continue to farm yam on mounds or what we call heaps. The reason is that the young people now are the old people that know how to do this are aging. I register farmers, so I know the average age of the farmers that are registering with us. These people are aging. The young people are not interested in carrying a hoe and then going to the farm to make those heaps that we use in planting our yams. The only way we can change this is if we change the farming system from planting our yams on heaps to planting on ridges. Okay? In that way, this 5.4 million hectares of land will be open for mechanization, at least starting from the region aspect. So I am here to plead with us that as the national president, I'm ready to work with any mechanization service provider that is ready to work with us. We need ridges. We will not have small ridges like you are planting rice. We will have at least ridges that are a little bit high, so that we'll be able to plant our yams. And I have looked at the models that have been presented here, and I think I'm happy to also announce to you that I think last week I got an order from Honeywell. They don't want me to mention their names, but I know nobody is here that will take the story back to them. They have asked me for 66 metric tons of yam every day for 320 days of the year. If you know Honeywell, they are not into yam flour. But we have reached out to them, we have convinced them. I have personally been there to make a presentation to them why they should bring yam flour as one of their product lines. And I'm happy to say this. So, of course, we have given them the quotation, 66 metric tons per day. It's almost 10 million supply without transportation. We are working on the issue of the logistics. How do we convey the yams to their plant separately? That's a separate cost. So those of you that are planning models around off-taker arrangement, I think is something that we can work together. So I want to say that I'm available for us to mechanize yam production, which is a new area altogether. I saw some of us talking about cotton producers, rice producers. You are working with them, but who is working with yam? Nobody. So I'm here to plead with you that I'm available. We can have discussions. I'm passionate about mechanization. My first degree is agric engineering and mechanization. And of course, that's the area I profess as a professor. So I am very, very passionate about mechanization. We need to mechanize yam. And I'm here to plead with you to work with me and work with the National Association for Yam. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor.
My name is Prince Tony Ifakandu, Managing Director of Autodex Nigeria. We're a tractor assembly plant in Nigeria, we're in Kiri. My question is to Maka. Two questions, one to Maka and one to Hello Tractors. We have issues of spare parts in Nigeria, major, because substandard tractors are coming into this country every single day. I had a letter from Meso Ferguson last week telling us the Meso Ferguson 375, 280, and the 385 are substandard for Nigeria. Kano State just bought 120, meaning Meso Ferguson will not supply parts for those tractors. When they break down, it's you. What you are really buying is a second-hand tractor, paying the full price. No support, no warranty, no spare parts. Only to find out yesterday that they've written to the Nigerian government 11 times, but nobody is taking action. Because when we want to buy tractors, we buy in tens, 10, 20, 30, and the person that supplied the tractor is gone after 3 years. When you ask for spare parts, there is no spare parts. I went to Ondo State. They had over 30 tractors non-functional. Kwara State had 2 functional tractors for a whole state. It's a disgrace. The only way for us to resolve that issue is not to buy in bits and pieces. We must buy in bulk. If you want to buy, make sure it's a unit supplier that can stay here in Nigeria. Otherwise, they'll sell us the tractor and they're gone. The second question I have to ask, so hello tractors. You do data collection. Do you do incident reports? For example, there's an infestation in a farm in Kogi State. How do we know that in the rest of the country?
All right, thank you very much. I'm sure hello tractor makers have taken notes. You respond to that. The second person. Okay, this is directed to AOA. You are asking what is the AOA extension and partnership with Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development / federal government as the bigger spender to facilitate provision of agricultural equipment as well as mechanization of the process. That's your first question. Then, are you clear with that? The second question is, why is Federal Ministry of Agric not here? Is that directed to us or to?
Mohammed Bello is my name, and my question is to all of you, the MSPs. You have presented quite beautiful models that are quite promising. And I was wondering, because this is the first time I'm seeing these kind of models being presented, quite attractive. And I was wondering if there are strategies that you have all adopted in cascading this information down to states and local governments where people can actually know about these models and perhaps can key in to invest in mechanization. Thank you.
Okay, so all the MSPs, I'm sure they will have answers for that.
So the question was that we do data collection and then incidents report. Okay. Our technology has a way of capturing incidents, but that depends on the acceleration, abnormal acceleration that we track on the tractor through our telematic devices. But it really happens. I think this year we only saw that like 2 to 3 times out of more than 1,800 tractors. You understand? But okay, but one of the things that we were thinking of doing was to help MSPs and dealers to maintain a maintenance log that is digital and is visible to stakeholders that are involved in maintenance. If something breaks down on a tractor, for instance, if you log it, and then with good partnerships with the dealers, we can be able to tell you where to find that spare part, and we can even give you the listing of the prices. But if we build today a digital platform, maybe we build Jumia for spare part, for instance, how many dealers and spare part vendors are willing to sign up? Are they willing to pay for that services? And then secondly, how many MSPs are willing to use that channel to place order for spare parts? Because the major issue I know with spare parts in Nigeria is that people who buy tractors buy it on sometimes, like you said, from unregistered dealers. When they go off the market, you don't know where to find the spare part. You go to Lagos, buying from somebody who you don't know, who even the manufacturer doesn't know. Are you getting what I'm saying? This didn't cover the dealers for Mr. Ferguson at some point in time. At the moment, do we know? If we know, how many do they have inventory of spare parts? If they don't have inventory of spare parts, most of the major reasons is because they don't know the level of demand. They cannot forecast anything in the market. They don't know how many tractors that are of that brand are in the market. And that is why we're advocating. And we are also pleading that with partnerships, with dealers and MSPs, with machines that have telematics on them, we can be able to know and be able to forecast. And that way, anybody who is willing to invest in spare part will know what to buy and where it is needed. Thank you.
Thank you. The question is, what extent is the partnership between AHOA and the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development as a big spender? Actually, AHOA is an association that is formed because the federal government invested in agri-hiring enterprises. And to that extent, the federal government is 100% associated with AHOA, to the extent that all the machines that AHOA has was procured by the federal government. But that is how far the story went. You know, the biggest problem that we have with Nigeria as Nigerians is the sustenance of a policy. There is so much policy somersault from one administration to the other. There is a new policy that is coming up now, which came up from the concept of the formation of agri-enterprises, which is the location of agri-hubs. Because the agri-enterprises that the federal government proposed with AHOA is supposed to be a comprehensive hub where you have about 5 machines that will do land preparation and help up with post-harvest. But now it is being extended and is being proposed that every local government is going to have such a hub. Ordinarily, you would have thought that having gotten to this level with AHOA, it would have been an extension of that activity to all the local government. But it is not coming. So what we are doing is that now the link between AHOA and the federal government is through a new organization that is named NAMEL. NAMEL is supposed to be the link, public-private sector-driven link between the federal government intervention and the private investor. I hope that a relationship between them would bring this lacuna to fore. But on our part, we have been begging or talking to NAMEL, and we have started to link up with other MSPs, you know, to form a collaboration where they have strength, because each MSP has its own strength, either with location or with machines or with participation. So anyone that has a strength, we would support and lean on it to help other people that doesn't have strength in that location. Such collaboration is going to help us to be able to have wider spread and more utilizations of our machines. I hope that answers the question.
About 6 to 7 divisions we are having. We have square food, we have square equipment, we have square power, we have square track, which is the area we are concerning with today. We are talking about square track, we are talking about New Holland. That is our product. New Holland is a product from Germany. When you know German product, they call them German machine. And for those that have been using this product, they can be able to attest to what we are talking about. It's in 2 forms. We have 2 models, TT55 and TT75. TT55 and TT75. Those are the things we have on ground. Talking about New Holland, is a product that's so versatile, go all over the section of those countries. People that have been buying it can be able to attest to that as well. And when I'm talking about this product precisely, we are looking at it from a very three dimension, talking about the durability, the accessibility, and all the rest. But let me talk about the issue of that durability. Because somebody was making mention of something that a tractor can last for 15 to 20 years. I quite agree with that kind of person. But let me give a scenario. Somebody came to our company to buy a product from Southeast. What we do is that when you buy a product, we deliver. But for them to just cut corner, they said they will deliver on their own. On that day, they came to pick the product around Saturday. They came with the crane and they picked. But you know, getting to after Shagamu, the person dropped and was driving this tractor to Southeast. How can it last for 15 years? Those are the problems some of us, all those customers are having. When you are moving from point A to point B, for your tractor to last longer, look for what? Something that will lift it from one place to the other. It's not a mobile something. It's a mechanized product. And second thing about this is that because the main issue of what we are talking about, issue of diesel is part of the problem we are having as well on those our tractors. But for Nigerians to have a good diesel is becoming a problem. How do we go over those things? That's why we are here. So whatever area you can be able to think that we can be able to just modify the way of getting a modified diesel, we are here to be able to just attest to all those things. So at the end of the day, we can be able to go further on these our products. Another thing is that we talk about operators. That's another product in mechanics equipment. Some people just hire tractors without even know how to be able to just ride them. It becomes a problem. But what we do is that we do after sales. When you buy, we train our operators free of charge. You bring your operator. We train them free, so that when they get to that place, they will now retrain another operator. That's how it's supposed to be. We train them free of charge, so that they will now go back to their various destinations, they retrain other operators. That's how it's supposed to be. And I pray that will help us in Jesus' name. Another thing we're talking about is that, another thing we are talking about, all is God, all is for God. Even the country itself needs prayer. Another thing we're talking about is about after sales service. We're talking about the parts. Those are the areas the tractors are having issue as well. Parts. How do we overcome those things? We also want to partner with our dealers. Let them come and be able to just have a kind of talk with us in their head office, so that we can attest the little one can be able to afford, those little parts. We're not talking about the combined engine. Come to us, we supply you, and at the end of the day, you come back and be able to pay us, so that you cannot just because you want to buy stroke, you are not coming down from Akwa Ibom to that, no, it'll be too far. But when you get closer to us, we can supply those little parts from those tractors, so that it can be able to just be easier for you on your use. And when we're talking about another thing, is about what? It's about what? The comfortability. I'm so proud of my products. I'm so proud of it. New Lowland is a German product. And when we're talking about that comfort, is there for us. That's our motto says, your success is our word, is our sincerity. That's the mode of the product. Your success on that mechanized farming is our own word, it's our own modifications. But when you are not succeeding on that business, we are so proud of it, and I believe God will continue to help us in. Thank you so much. God bless.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, lots of thanks to Propcom. If something is happening in mechanization, it's all because of Propcom. Otherwise, we would have not been here. The tractor business would have been in the government hand till now, and the farmers would have seen the tractor at many places still in the warehouse, not in the farm. All thanks to Propcom. So my name is Sudhir Jha. I represent Sonalika tractor here. The next slide. Yeah. So everybody knows about TAC. So the Wheatfield has exclusivity of Sonalika tractor. A little about the Wheatfield venture. The Wheatfield venture were registered with the CAC in 1990 and has investment in fertilizer, agrochemicals, logistic, warehousing and real estate. Next slide please. So these are the infographic. This is what WVL does, apart from some other construction business and other things. Again. Fertilizer, agrochemicals, tractor, farm commodity, trading export, farming, irrigation, greenhouse, and the logistics. Next, please. So the company has offices in Lagos, Kaduna, Abuja, Dubai, and also London. The company has many manufacturing units such as we value here local content. Local content is very, very important. And in that one, manufacturing is the most important thing. So that's what the manufacturing units we have. All of them are manufacturing units. We have diversified our businesses into many areas. Company has also the farm. We wanted to experience the farm, so we did farm. We initially did maize, soybean, some rice. We experienced it. And the best product we have chosen is the organic product. So the company registered the biggest organic moringa farm and the biggest organic tiger nut farm in the world. That's in Nigeria. One in Kaduna and another one in Jigawa. So the business partner, Sonalika Tractor. The Sonalika Tractor is very much known to everyone worldwide. So the is ISO certified tractor. In Nigeria, we have certified with SON and COM, and we have registered with the MAN, so that we have manufacturing license. Sonalika is Asia's biggest tractor company with the manufacturing capacity of 700 tractors in a day, has presence in 120 over countries. The Sonalika is the only tractor company in India which manufactures from 20 HP to 120 HP. It is well known. You can go on the website and even you can see it. Please, next slide. So in Nigeria, this is what the product we keep. I did not put intentionally the 90 HP because the market is not that for 90. So 26 HP we have, 50 we have, 60 we have, and 75 we have. Presently available with us. Next slide, please. So these are the implements we have. There are some unique implements. Some of us we have not not heard it. Like you can see the tractor-mounted alternator. That tractor-mounted alternator, you can generate your own electricity at home for farm, for community. That front end loader, all our tractor 60 HP onward, you can mount those implements and make use of commercial use, like in construction business or digging, drainage and all those things you can use with that one. Next slide, please. All those implements we have them. So now the services. We talked about a lot of services. Now the sales is not important, service is important, because the service, we were only hearing complaints and complaints and complaints about the services. No spare parts, no mechanic, tractor is on breakdown, people cannot pay loan on time. This is what we do. Warranty. We are not just writing warranty for the sake of warranty. One of the association bought 50 tractors from us in Southwest, and they had some experience in the gearbox. We flew entire gearbox by air within a week time, and we fitted free of cost. So that's what our warranty policy is. So spare parts, we have signed an agreement with some associations which has presence in 36 states. So very soon you will have spare parts at your doorstep. Rather calling us, you call them and get your spare part within 1 hour time. So, the free operators and mechanic training we do. We do not charge for the training. The prompt after-sales service. While we have our own spare part, the after-sales service team, that's engineers, which you call, we send them immediately. It's free of cost. We don't charge for that one. Only spare parts we charge. Labor is free. Then the free mechanization consultancy. If you have a commercial farm and you come to us, okay, you want to buy tractor, but you don't know what and what equipments you want and how many you are needed. Some may say 100, some 50, some even 1. But yes, we can calculate for you and we can easily tell you, okay, fine, this is what you need. Next slide, please. Okay, so these are the facilities we have. We have full-fledged assembly plant. You can see how we are assembling it. All those tractors, the implements set. Next slide, please. That's the tractor. In the past achievement we brought 600 tractors one time. That's the field training and demonstration. This is the training center. Okay, this is how we assemble our tractor. We bring CKD and SKD, and this is how we assemble in our, there are a lot of processes. You can see implement and the tractor, how we assemble it. So we have technical expertise in tractor. Next, yeah. Okay, so that one was about our facility and what we do. Now, what is the benefit of mechanization? You can see, I just made a chart. Is my calculation, not verified here from here and there, my calculations. The top one is verified. Yes, if you do mechanization on input, fertilizer, seed, you can save up to 25%, even sometime more, because of the spacing, the uniform spacing, the uniform quantity it will go into a hole. On yield also, you can increase your yield. Of harvesting loss, you can prevent from the harvesting loss from 25 to 50%. These are the chart I made. So you can see one tractor can do 300 hectares. The minimum 16% can be employed. Then that output, the 16,438 people can eat that output. The grains one tractor can produce. Next, please. So these are the benefits of the mechanization. You can see a lot. Now these are the tractor market. I don't know, the figures are circulating as 100,000 or 150,000. I did a calculation that we need 1.6 million tractors. I don't know, Propcom, please verify this figure. Okay, so it's $20 billion market for tractor. Next slide, please. Okay, so why you have to choose, or why you should choose our tractor? What is the unique selling points? What special we have that you can see it, please, that USP. So tested 11 years, tested in Nigerian soil. 11 years now. We have been testing, rectifying it. That's the product we are using in Nigeria now. Please, the USP is more important, sir. We have supplied federal government, state governments, many associations. Unique features we have in tractor, the separate cylinder heads, hydraulic and steering pumps, that if one pump is bad, you can work with another pump. So there are many features tractor has that your tractor will, even on the breakdown, you can use it. For one, if one thing is bad, you can use another one. Now you see how customer feedback we get and how important customers are for us. Some of the customers complain that okay, diesel has problem. They have the turbo needs a lot of maintenance. So what we did, we did research and development, and we removed some turbo. Because 50 SP tractor, our 50 SP didn't have turbo. 75 SP had turbo. So people like 50 SP more than 75 SP because of turbo. So we said, okay, fine, no problem. We contacted our manufacturer. I said, can you remove it? So they removed it. So we have two types of tractor now, turbo, without turbo. So you can easily work without turbo too. So these all are, you can see the spare parts, mechanic, and all. I have already discussed with the warranty. These all the USP we have. Many USP we have that your tractor will work comfortably. Next one. So a special offer we have that talked about the alternator. We can supply that 40 kVA electricity you can generate from your 50 horsepower or 60 horsepower tractor. That's enough for your community, for entire village. Depend on the and also that the front end loader I have discussed. A financing model that many associations and we have here. Many people want tractor, so we have collaboration with the banks that can finance your tractor, depend your credibility and the documentation. These are some of our achievement. The training we sent 19 of the person for the training in India. Some demonstration we did recently we did. Next. Okay, so these are the contacts. Please, you can contact Lagos. You can contact Kaduna. Anytime you want, we are available for you. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Tak.
All right, we have.
Don't worry.
We have Vision Agric, then Mahindra last.
Vision Agric.
Bear with us, we are almost there.
Please, 5 minutes.
Okay, this one too is PDF.
Absolutely 5 minutes. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First, thanks to Propcom for arranging this platform and podium for all of us to be able to come together. So I represent a company called Vision Agric. We are about 2.5 years old in Nigeria, and we represent the Farm Track brand of tractors from India. So Farm Track essentially, you can go on with the slides. Farm Track essentially is a collaboration with Ford. Ford of US was the main supplier of technology to Farm Track about 50 years ago, and based on, so it's a technology based on Ford, and essential components have been derived from Ford. Please carry on. Escorts, which is a company which manufactures Farm Track, is one of the top 10 manufacturers of tractors in the world, and among the top 3 in India. And they have also recently signed a collaboration agreement with Kubota. Kubota of Japan will now be manufacturing Kubota tractors in India from the plant of Escorts. So we are shortly be able to market some of these Kubota Farm Track tractors, also probably be able to bring them to Nigeria in the near future. Please carry on. Escorts also promotes training. There's a training center we have in Bangalore in India where we promote training to operators and technicians from all over the world, wherein we facilitate all the expenses there, and there are various training programs ranging from 2 weeks to 3 weeks. This is about the training center. This gives the journey. It's a company which has been manufacturing tractors since 1961. Farm Track has a good presence in Nigeria. We have about 5 to 6 years back importation of about 1,000 tractors to some northern states of Nigeria, and ever since after that we have come in as the distributor, as I said, about 2.5 years ago, and we are now looking after this franchise out of Lagos primarily, and also out of Abuja, Kano and Kaduna. This gives the legacy, the Ford legacy, which is translated into the Farm Track tractor. The range is from 37 horsepower to 110 horsepower. Those are the ones available. Needs of Nigeria, we have kept in account, so we normally market the 60 HP and the 75 HP in the 2-wheel and the 4-wheel drive versions. These are some of the USPs of the brand, and yeah, it's basically a very robust and durable brand, effectively tested since years. Carry on, please. You can carry on, please. Farm Track Escorts is one of the few companies, probably the only one in India, which has manufacturing facilities in Europe as well. They have a plant in Poland, and which supplies to the European Union. Matching implements is needless to say. We are manufacturing, Escorts itself is now manufacturing implements, not outsourcing it anymore. So this brand is called Farm Power, and Farm Power implements are now coming along with the tractors, which we can also provide in Nigeria. Go ahead, please. These are some of our partners who basically provide various components for the tractor. And please go ahead. These are our global presence. We are in FarmTrack is in about 62 countries across Europe, Africa, SAARC, West Asia and Southeast Asia. In Africa, the presence ranges from Nigeria, Ghana, Senegal, parts of West Africa, East Africa and Southern Africa. In South Africa, we have already started the Kubota FarmTrack brand and the supplies have started there. Yeah, I think that's all. Thank you very much.
Right,
Thanks for your
patience.
patience.
Thank you. All right.
Okay, my name is Manoj Ramakrishnan here, and I'm here with my colleague Jagdish Chandapande, who is handling the agrochemical business for Whore of the Nation. Along with me is Queen Alheri and Precious Ajiba. We are from the Springfield Agro Limited, as a Kevalram Chandrai Group company, which is in Nigeria for more than 100 years. I can say we are established from 1869. Our partnership in the retail tractor financing segment of 2010, where first we partnered with Propcom. Earlier it was Propcom, today it is Propcom mai-karfi, and the first bank and Tuan, which it was not an easy stage for us doing all this tie-ups, because everybody have their own agendas, and bringing everybody together to a single pool, to a single team, it becomes very, very difficult. But however, we did, along with Propcom, with the great help of Propcom, we achieved this, and we took the delivery, we gave the delivery of 50 tractors. Godson, I think you have to keep your phone a little bit silent. Tagging it, and sometimes you're not considering here. Thank you. And that partnership gave a delivery of 50 tractors to one association in Kaduna, and in this 50 tractors partnership gave us more of a strength. We thought we should not be restricting ourselves to First Bank only. We had to open up agendas for more of the banks, and it took us that we took the main bankers at that time to India, so that those people feel, okay, when these bankers see the strength of the manufacturing capacity of Mahindra, so they can also open up for more finances to the farming community in Nigeria. Going ahead, we had a very good partnership along with Tufan and FCMB, in which we had delivered approximately 300 to 400 tractors. And still going ahead, we had a partnership with one of the northern state governments, with Tuan and Axis Bank, which led to the delivery of 225 tractors. This is the delivery at, I think it was 2 years back, around in 2017 mid, we delivered 225 tractors with a good partnership with Axis Bank and Tuan. Next. And we have the corporate tie-ups with Traxi Continental and Act Agribusiness. We have more than 300 to 400 tractors along with these corporate agencies. Next. We earlier had the assembly plant somewhere in Ibadan. But down the years, 12 to 13 years of time, we had found the difficulty that, okay, it will not be easy for us to cater the demands of whole of the country based from Ibadan. So we had the opportunity of a potential tie-up with the Kaduna state government, which had given the opportunity for us to establish our tractor assembly plant in Kakuri industrial area in Kaduna state. This is our assembly plant, which was commissioned in April 2018, which has a production capacity of 5,000 tractors in 1 year. This is the in-house assembly line. Next. This is the assembly tractors parked outside. These are the spare parts warehouse that we have currently inside the assembly plant in Kaduna itself. We have 3 warehouse facilities, spare parts warehouse facilities, but our major warehouse of spare parts is centralized from Kaduna. Next. So the spare parts. And this assembly plant was commissioned by His Excellency, the Governor of Kaduna State, in the presence of the ex-president of Tanzania. Next. Before giving any tractors to the customers, we always ensure that the proper training is being provided to all the operators. There had been several issues coming up that the operators are not operating the tractors. There had been a problem of tractors and the implements not matching. So we always ensure that we give appropriate training to all the customers whom we give the tractors. And this is the mechanics training on the implements and the tractors general overhauling. Coming up on the product range, we have struggled all across Nigeria, and we have seen that 605, the 60 HP tractors, Mahindras, which suit us the best for us all across Nigeria. And we are, as of now, sticking to the 60 horsepower tractors for all across Nigeria. Next. And we also have the 80 HP 8000 series four-wheel drive tractor, which is being currently used by all the mining industries in Nigeria. Coming up next, we will be introducing the 60 HP four-wheel drive, which will be coming by February 2020. Why we want to stick with 60 HP four-wheel drive? Because of the spare parts availability. We already have more than 1,500 60 HP tractors running in Nigeria. Introducing the four-wheel drive 60 HP tractors gives an advantage of having the similar kind of spare parts. It's not that we have a different variants, 80, 80, 70, and we'll be having a different problem of spare parts. If you maintain one single horsepower tractors, it will be easy for us to give after-sales service backup also, and the stock of spare parts also can be very easily in our stocks. This is a combined harvester, 150 horsepower with AC cabin. Currently, Agriculture, they are having one, they are using one, and one we have stock with us in Kaduna assembly plant. Next. We also have the mini combined harvester for the smaller communities, for the small farmers who can do 2 to 3. Next. Coming to the warranty part, definitely Mahindra, we have the warranties on engine, hydraulic and transmission, which is 1 year and 1,500 hours. And we also believe in genuine spare parts. We always have the genuine spare parts available in our spare parts stockyard in Kaduna. I had been hearing that somebody is not getting the spare parts and all those things. It is only the right approach and the contacts. If you not be missing the contacts of the manufacturers or the vendors over here. Next. Finance really is a... You already showed, now let's show it. Finance is a very major issue. We have been trying, we have been contacting many banks, right? And you might have seen all the banks that we have been communicating for the last 10 to 12 years. Yes, a lot of our MSPs, they have problems with the rate of interest and all those things. And currently, we are almost in the verge of finalizing the discussions with 2 or 3 banks which have agreed for a single digit rate of interest. And we will try and see how fast we can implement this, and we can give this facility to all our friends and families. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Manoj.
Okay, this event is one of its kind, well organized, and then I think every stakeholder in the mechanization value chain was represented in this event. And most importantly, all stakeholders were given opportunity to actually speak about their value proposition, the problems they are trying to address, and the solutions they have. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity for us to network and to connect with each other and to see how we can partner in moving the entire ecosystem forward. So I think it was well organized, and then it's actually nice being here. Well, the time to speak was actually very brief, I understand. We can make use of the full day because most of us actually dedicated the whole of today. So I think 5 minutes was too small for any business to actually pitch what it does. And then the stands make a lot of sense because it allows people to come meet with you and then discuss how you people can partner. But next steps, I think, will be after the event. How do we put or implement what we have discussed so far? What is Propcom going to do in facilitating these partnerships and seeing the fact that, seeing that all the gaps that have been identified today are actually covered up, and seeing how we can move the entire ecosystem forward. So I think, but generally, I'm impressed. Well, for me, it's worthwhile because most of the ideas we have been discussing internally, it came out today. So it's very clear that we have perspective, a very good perspective of what is happening in the market. And issues like spare parts are issues that were not being discussed today, before, but now it's been clear that it's an issue. Issues with diesel and the understanding of the need for technology. I think that being highlighted, I think it will help us it will help the technology adoption in the entire ecosystem. From demand aggregation to fleet management to spare part sales and distribution and accumulating data for financial institutions, which our company Hello Tractor is developing solutions for that. So I think it's actually worth it.
It's quite interesting that I am here because my take home is I've been able to establish partnership here, and I've also been able to learn more about agri-mechanization, especially the fact that I don't need to own a tractor, but I can have tractor services available at my doorstep. And like you know, female farmers have challenges of land, mechanization, and even farm inputs, but that there are organizations that we can collaborate with to have these services deployed to their doorstep is very interesting. And for me, it's a very good feedback I'm taking back to my members. And so because we've been scrambling with this issue of how do we own a tractor, now we can collaborate, and I'm sure with the support Propcom is offering us as an intermediary, that can be achieved. For programs like this, normally time is never enough. But I think maybe if we are more strategic in identifying those to speak, so that you can have more time for interaction, because this is supposed to be an interactive thing, to be able to establish the partnerships that you require, and to also have the impact of why the exhibitions and the alternatives that there are. So I would think that in going forward, we need more time for presentation so that it will be in-depth. The participants will actually understand the workings, and then give them room to ask questions that can actually help them in making decisions on either to own tractors or to go for tractor services. And then again, I think we need more of the smaller farmers in the room.
I think I'm glad that we are one of the vendors present here today because it was an eye-opening. It opened our eyes to even see what is happening around us, getting some information from other vendors and from other partners, other people who are partners with Propcom. It is indeed a welcome idea, and I think I am pleased to be here too. Gulf Nigeria Limited has been in Nigeria for over 60 years now, doing business, and our business area, the major aspect of our business are two areas, which one is agriculture and the other one is communication. But for the purpose of these events, we are here for the agricultural aspect of our business. I think the major stakeholders are supposed to be here, are all here, but maybe in future, what I think I can encourage the Propcom to do, like all these farmers association or other groups of farmers, who assemble themselves, like forming cooperative societies, if they can extend it to them to know exactly what is happening around here, I think them benefiting from the program will be a great thing to them. And to us vendors, it also increase our level of sales, because if they come and they broaden their ideas, definitely they come back to us to get some of the items they got to know about from this program.